The chair recognizes the honourable member for Kalani.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I never anticipate going so early. It's never happened before. Madam Speaker, the government spoke a lot about the banking system in the Family Islands. And we recognize that there are challenges there. Many of the Family Islanders have been complaining. And the member for East End spoke about it. Because no banking system within many of the islands, they find themselves having great difficulties sending their monies to New Providence or wherever the system may exist. And we had a plan in place. And I would ask the government to look at our plan that was in place. But we wanted to encourage, and we had discussion, to encourage especially Commonwealth Bank, which is Bahamian-owned, and Bank of Bahamas, to place facilities in certain family islands, and the government would subsidize them to a particular point, covering their operating costs. We would have subsidized them to a point where their profit, there may not be any profit, but there will be no cost to them. And that discussion was ongoing, and I would ask government to continue with such discussion of subsidizing. And I chose those two banks because they are Bahamian banks, Commonwealth Bank and Bank of Bahamas. And I think government should. But, Madam Speaker, I rise today grateful to God for giving me the strength to be here to represent the good people of the Kalani constituency. Their well-being, Madam Speaker, is one of my utmost concern. And given how astray this New Day administration is, we in opposition must be even more vigilant in protecting the interests of Bahamian people and of our constituents. Before us today are the International Business Companies Amendment Bill 2023 and the Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2023. The Exempted Limited Partnership Bill seeks to amend the Principal Act to provide for A, the continuation of an exempted limited partnership as an international business company, and B, continuation of an exempted limited partnership as a limited partnership in another jurisdiction, and the transition of the exempted limited partnership's assets, liabilities, and pending legal proceedings to the international business company or limited partnership in another jurisdiction. The International Business Companies Amendment Bill seeks to, in part, insert a new section, 84C, into the Principal Act to provide for the procedure of converting an exempted limited partnership and incorporated under the Exempted Limited Partnership Act as an international business company under the Principal Act. I support these amendments in as much as they help our financial services sector, which is the second biggest industry in our economy. I am pro-business, Madam Speaker, and pro-investment. And many Bahamians had low expectations of this New Day administration when they were elected. What has surprised many Bahamians is how hostile they are to business. Madam Speaker, I have spoken in this place several times about how the New Day administration and the New Day tax collectors are causing so many difficulties for Bahamian business people. At the beginning of the year, the newspapers were filled with complaints from business people at how difficult it was to register their businesses and to get the relevant tax compliance documents. It is disgraceful, Madam Speaker, that this Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Finance, allowed such chaos to happen. He's rarely at his desk doing work as both Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. He is the fly-away and traveling Prime Minister who prefers jet-setting and luxury travel more than he cares about the needs of our people. Consequently, Madam Speaker, consequently, areas under the direct control of the Minister of Finance, under his direct control, perform poorly. Many hoped that all the issues with business registration and tax compliance documents were resolved after the business sectors complained to the media and embarrassed the New Day administration. We were wrong. It seems there is still disorder and difficulty when it comes to the ease of doing business under this failing Minister of Finance. SuperValu, Madam Speaker, is a leading food store chain and a major business in the Bahamas. Many people were shocked to read the comments of its president in the Tribune on Monday, May 22nd, 2023. Under the headline, quote, SuperValu President, things aren't flowing. The company's president set out the problems the business is having, trying to get basic things done with this administration. The story said, SuperValu's president says that while profit-based taxation would be favorable for food retailers, the government must first prioritize the ease of doing business because things aren't flowing like they should. Deborah Burnett, although welcoming the potential switch from the turnover-based business license fee to a corporate income tax, told Tribune Business the 13-store supermarket chain had recently experienced holdups and delays in getting produce to its stores because it had not received its tax compliance certificate, TCC, stating that there was nothing they should be holding up on the certificate for. She explained that its absence had been really annoying because a TCC must be presented to customs when clearing imported shipments off the dock. The inability to produce one had caused complications for several months, hampering goods clearance until SuperValu was finally issued with temporary TCC. And Mrs. Simonet said the supermarket chain has experienced similar issues with its business license renewal, while the necessary fee has been paid. Issuance approved, she disclosed that SuperValu has yet to receive the actual license for wall display from the Department of Inland Revenue. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister should be embarrassed that areas under his control are performing so poorly. It is unacceptable, Madam Speaker, that companies who employ Bahamians and generate business are treated in this manner. And what concerns me even more is if SuperValu is being treated in this way, things must be much worse for the small businesses, because they do not have all the lawyers and accountants to help them navigate these matters. In fact, in many small businesses, the owner is also on the floor working to sell produce or services. He becomes an innate part of his establishment. If they have to go in over and over again to the new tax office, that takes away from their profit-making potential. And in instances, sometimes presents a state of staff shortages. The Bahamian business people did not think this is how they would be treated when the New Day Party was voted into power. They've gotten tax after tax after tax imposed on them by the PLP. It has become more difficult to do business. And taxes keep going up, Madam Speaker, keep going up and up and up. Instead of taking responsibility for how his ministry operates, the Prime Minister once again pandered and sought to shift responsibility.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Cal Island, Ramkins and Salvador.
Not much is expected, but at the very least, the member is a stranger to the truth. But at the very least, if he's going to say tax and tax again, let's identify what those taxes are and when they were enforced. When were they put in?
Madam Speaker, in this House, we have repeatedly spoken. Listen. Let me just give you.
Repeating a lie doesn't make it true. I call upon the member to identify the tax, what item of tax it was. In fact, we reduced tax. Remember that? We reduced VAT from 12 to 10%.
He increased that.
Madam Speaker,
Thank you, honourable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just to give two examples. Road traffic tax has gone up, bread basket item tax has gone up, medication tax has gone up, and that's just to name a few. Real property tax has gone up almost 400%. And there are many more I can name. During the budget debate, you will hear each and every one. Madam Speaker, instead of taking responsibility for how this ministry operates, the Prime Minister once again pandered and sought to shift responsibility just like he did when he got the deficit matter wrong. Madam Speaker, leaders take responsibility. I agree with that. Leaders take responsibility. I'm glad you agree. On 10 separate occasions, the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister, had thrown his staff under the bus. Take responsibility. He threw Christie under the bus in 2014. All data, all backup notes are here, Madam Speaker. The member for Fort Charlotte, the Minister of Works, was thrown under the bus in 2022 and referred to the Guardian article 22nd of November 2022. The staff was thrown under the bus. The writer with deficit, refer 2023. Financial Secretary and staff under the bus, BPL fiasco. He did not see the report. The DPM, the Deputy Prime Minister, was thrown under the bus. Check the Nassau Guardian, 22nd of the 5th, 2023, RCI and Toby Smith. He threw Halkitas, the Minister of Economic Affairs, under the bus. Check the gas station dealers fiasco, 26th of April, 2023, Tribune. The Deputy Prime Minister was again thrown under the bus. Under the bus, the 10th of, thrown under the bus, as reported in the Guardian, the 10th of May, 2023. Madam Speaker, I can go on and on. And he has thrown the member for Eiliston under the bus, as referred in the Guardian, 22nd of the 5th, 2023. Madam Speaker, that is not how leaders behave. People look to respect their leaders who, when they see mistakes as a chance, mistakes are taken as a chance for growth and improvement opportunity, not as an opportunity to blame, shift, and throw others under the bus. Plus, Madam Speaker, mature leaders take responsibility, make a decisive action towards the issue, move forward with character. Madam Speaker, 10 times this leader has thrown his staff, his members, under the bus. And as we progress with the debate, I will demonstrate the chaos within the cabinet and the chaos within the OPM and the chaos within the Ministry of Finance. But Madam Speaker, if there are chaos in such entities, my God, what do you think would happen in the Bahamas? Pure chaos. Madam Speaker, the Tribune reported last Friday, quote, the Prime Minister yesterday slammed blinkered public officials for adopting inflexible approaches to the collection of outstanding taxes that close the business and hinder economic growth and productivity. Quote, Philip Davis Casey, addressing the Cat Island Business Outlook Conference, said civil servants too often adopted, quote, well, pay me for his attitude to the issuance of business licenses and signing of public works contracts when the company involved owes tax liability to the public treasury. Rather than refuse to issue a business license, he argued that officials should instead discuss the outstanding arrears with the tax-paying business because talk will bring results. And if tax delinquent businesses were due to be awarded government contracts, Mr. Davis argued that the sum owed should merely be deducted from the value of the work to be undertaken. It is the Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, who is blinkered. It is the Prime Minister who has a narrow and limited outlook. Brave Davis, the Prime Minister, is the tax collector in chief. I repeat, Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister, Philip Brave Davis, QC, is the tax collector in chief, though he is once again trying to throw the civil servants under the bus. I will quote all those, I will give you all the articles of those examples where you threw individuals. You started from Christie time. It's a chronic problem. Yes, I thought the senior spin doctor was about to rise, but you were just moving. Yes, he said. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the tax collector in chief, he is their boss. He is their boss. The Prime Minister sets the policies for these agencies. He is responsible for their activities. If he all of a sudden has ideas about how to improve the granting of business licenses, tax compliance certificates, and other documents, he should issue instructions to get these things done. He must lead, Madam Speaker. That's what leaders do. But he, the tax collector in chief, is so busy leading the good life, indeed his best life, while most Bahamians are struggling under this tax regime and difficulty of getting their business done. Bahamians are upset, Madam Speaker, with the excessive actions of the new day tax collectors. The chief new day tax collector is the PM, Prime Minister. He is the Minister of Finance overseeing this tax crusade that is harming Bahamian businesses. And during the budget, I have 1 hour. I'm not confined to 30 minutes. So I want you to sit there. You will hear about the taxes. It is the Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, to fix what is wrong. But it just seems that the tax collector in chief doesn't care. The only people who are finding it easier to easily get business are those in PLP high command. Further, I once again ask about what is happening with the property on Cable Beach, where the gaming board had its office. That property should stay in the hands of Bahamian people and should not be given over to certain individuals. I will have more to say about this in time. On behalf of all Bahamian businesses, I am asking the Prime Minister, as the leader of the New Day tax collectors, for God's sake, have mercy. Have mercy. Owed taxes should be paid. We accept that. Owed taxes should be paid. But there should be fairness and due process. Tax collector in chief, more and more people are complaining that doing business in the Bahamas is becoming more difficult under this tax collector in chief. He is only focused on his self-appointed role as chief tax collector. We need him to have a heart toward Bahamian businesses and Bahamian business people. For God's sake, we cannot take any more taxes. There were some people whose real property tax was $800. Suddenly, we're up to over $4,000. For God's sake. People are hurting. People are hurting. Madam Speaker, our people are frustrated. Oh, the tax collector finally rise.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Cat Island Rum Kingston, Salvador.
At least I'm not the competent authority. And I know the Bahamian people don't miss it. Not at all. Madam Speaker, he speaks about real property tax being raised.
Yes,
if the truth be told, right, it was the exercise started by them, yes, where they had properties revalued.
Yes.
So if your property was on the books valued at $100, and they revalue it to be $200, the tax don't go up, but your payment might go up because of the revaluation and the reassessment, which they did.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much. The tax collector in chief is correct that we started the process so that we could evaluate homes, etc. It was the plan that once we got the report was supposed to be discussed with the people and with the necessary individuals involved, the real estate agents. You did not do any of that. Then we would have decided what is. We were then to decide what is palatable to the Bahamian populace. But the tax collector in chief had no consultation. They just complete the report and bam, went straight ahead with taxing it. But a tax collector does, read the Bible. We know about tax collectors. I won't refer to them, but we know about tax collectors. No, I wouldn't. What you say? Zacchaeus? You said Zacchaeus? Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah. Who's Zacchaeus? I didn't say it, Okay, let me finish. Madam Speaker, our people are frustrated. They need relief. They need the Prime Minister to do his job instead of flying all over creation, spending the tax dollars he is collecting. Madam Speaker, I would only say that it's good that the corporate tax report is being sent out for consultation, but I would ask the government to look very closely at the sector. Once an individual is paying business license, consider introducing, allowing them to pay business license not on gross, but on net. Madam Speaker, the challenge is this. Individuals can lose money, but have a high gross and still paying, as opposed to pay on net. But once they're paying on net, you must be careful so that you have the systems in place so that there cannot be any cost shifting. The business sectors would understand that, and if necessary, I can explain that at another time. The country needs an accounting of the recent extravaganza while the PLP High Command was in London. We want a report of the trip in London. How much who was there is not my business. That's not my business. We want a report. How much did the trip cost? Was it $250,000, $500,000, or over $1 million while you were enjoying yourself? Many people could not afford to buy food. Their water was being turned off. Their lights were being turned off. They were having great challenges while you were enjoying it. Now, Madam Speaker, they're introducing an independent jacket. Who's paying for that? Government paying for that too? You want to pay for jacket for all of us, including yourself, while people can't even buy bread? No, man. What else you paid for while in London? Madam Speaker, oh, what a glory day during the debate. 1 hour is a lot. How many people were there in the delegation? And how many people and whom did the government pay for? As for the jacket that you want to give us, I'll pay for my jacket. You know, those jackets may cost up to $1,000. Do you know how much that represents? I know Engliston is a nationalist. Engliston would prefer that money to go to help the people, not to give me a jacket. Not to give you a jacket. That's the people's money. You're taking the people's money to buy yourself a jacket? For God's sake, man. Help the people. Madam Speaker, the PLP has the PLP fully reimbursed the Treasury for their private trip to Bermuda for a political event? Madam Speaker, we debate the International Business Companies Amendment Bill 2023 and the Exempted Limited Partnership Bill 2023 with the hope of making the Bahamas a better place in which to do business. That is what we as legislators are doing. However, in order for there to be a greater ease in doing business, we need an executive that is able to execute the objective. Instead, we have an executive led by a prime minister who's causing more problems. And this prime minister won't even accept responsibility for his failures. Madam Speaker, many hope that the prime minister and minister of finance will show greater diligence, understanding, and care in the upcoming budget. I hope the Prime Minister will take time to familiarize himself with his government's budget and know basic things like the size of the deficit this time. More importantly, the country is waiting to see if his words about business license and other matters at inland revenue are more than just pandering and making excuses for his failures. Madam Speaker, during my last 3 minutes, I want to point out, I got 3 minutes. Kalani just recently had, last week, Saturday, a very successful women brunch. More than 70 women turned out. The speaker was Sabrina Pinder, and I thought she did an excellent job. And Madam Speaker, during my 3-minute speaking to the women of Kalani, I reminded them that women are the leaders in this country. They are the leaders in the world, and they must take their rightful place. Who can undergo the pain of labor for 6, 8, 10 hours, and at the end of it, a beautiful, beautiful infant comes forth? That takes strength, Madam Speaker. That takes strength. The average male, one headache, and he's laid up for 3, 4 days. Madam Speaker, in the next 2 minutes, I'm talking about you all. Madam Speaker, I pointed out to them that they must take their rightful place in this society. After all, it is they, the women, who bring up our children, who ensure that our children are taken care of, proper environment, safety, etc. And 67% of the births in this country are a single parent, including myself. And the mothers are bringing up the children. The children are the future of the country. The young people are the future. Madam Speaker, what that means is our women are holding the future in their hand. Garnish it. Take charge. Take responsibility. Let us see 50% of females within Parliament. Let us see the women taking their right. Yes, you heard me. Let me see. Let us see. Madam Speaker, I've said before, leaders learn from mistakes. And they take advantage of the opportunities. They take advantage of the opportunities. But Madam Speaker, but the bad thing is when a child goes viral, the mother's blamed. But when the child succeeds, the father gets all the praise. It's wrong. I urge you women, take charge. It's there for you. And Madam Speaker, I also had encouraged them to intermingle, know each other, share telephone numbers, and have such events on a monthly basis. The women must remove and take charge. We cannot have the tax collector in chief in charge anymore. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.